together, with reports that the Nets have reached an impasse with their star point guard. Woj reported yesterday the Lakers are the, quote, most significant threat to pry Kyrie away from Brooklyn. Windy, what are the Nets hoping for with Kyrie Irving less than a week away from his player option deadline?
They're hoping to sign him to a contract that protects them long-term from Kyrie's injury history and history of not wanting to play. I don't think that they want to offend him. I think they want to make a responsible contract. And here's the reality, Max. At the end of the season, Kyrie said on the record in front of the cameras, I'm coming back. He made it clear he doesn't want to go anywhere. Now we look out into the field. There's no teams out there that have salary cap space to pay him anywhere near what the Nets can pay him, even if they don't offer him a guaranteed max. Nobody out there is looking for a player like him who has the cap space. So the leverage is naturally against Kyrie. And so Kyrie is trying to manufacture leverage, as probably any of us in his shoes would try to manufacture leverage. I just don't know how realistic it is that he would leave $30 million on the table this year. That's what it would cost him to go to the Lakers, and potentially tens more in the next few years, depending on what the Nets are offering or willing to offer. I know with Kyrie, he doesn't operate like many people do. He is sort of a unique person in his decision-making, especially with what he prioritizes. But even under those circumstances, it's a wild scenario that he would go do that. But that sliver exists, and Kyrie is trying to leverage it as much as he possibly can.
Not to mention KD. Like, if I'm the Nets and I'm going to tick off KD to the point where it alienates him, Kyrie, I'd like not to guarantee him the whole contract, but all right, KD, Kyrie, are we good? You know, that on paper, still, that's a juggernaut if people are healthy. Windy, if Kyrie was to opt out of his contract, how do the Lakers grab him?
The only way to get him is with the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $6 million and change. They can't sign and trade for him. They really can't create space. Even if they were to somehow miraculously get somebody to take Russell Westbrook, they wouldn't have appreciable cap space. It is $6 million or bust. And the Lakers, obviously, if Kyrie is showing an interest and if he opts out of his contract next week, they're going to have to wait on him. They have to, because it would be the greatest mid-level signing in NBA history. But if Kyrie takes a few days as he tries to leverage it with the Nets, it's possible other targets that they want to sign with that money could go elsewhere. So the Lakers have to do this. They have to engage in this. They have to think that the probability isn't very high. They have to go down that path. And I'll just say this about Kevin Durant. Obviously, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are close. They have a strong partnership. But I really do wonder how Kevin truly feels about this, because Kyrie is making an assumption that it's okay to mess with Kevin a little bit here, to sort of leverage on your friend. I really wonder how he truly feels. It's complicated, but if Kyrie walks for nothing, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm obviously got a problem with the way management handled it.
Well, hold on. Let's stay right there, Windy. This is fascinating to me. When you hear Shaq and Penny talk, they see as much as they did, they could have done more. They were young and immature. I mean, these guys are very young when they get to the league. They grow up before our eyes, right, in front of the entire world. Same thing with Kobe and Shaq, right? As much as they did, they could have done more. LeBron and Kyrie are kind of like that, only they have a chance to get back together and do even more. On the other hand, is LeBron's relationship with Kyrie, I don't care how they've mended fences, that strong that Kyrie would leave KD in the lurch where he hasn't won with KD, but he's already won with LeBron, right? Like, we talk all about how Steph's won without KD. Can KD win without Steph? Wouldn't that be kind of a blow to KD's legacy, or at least it would be a media narrative? Here I am talking about it. Would Kyrie do that to KD?
Look, Max, I don't understand 3 years ago why KD chose this path. I felt he had better options 3 years ago. I don't understand why KD signed a contract extension that limited his options a year ago, that limited his options now. These are things I don't understand. What I would tell you about this with LeBron, the overwhelming majority of relationships that LeBron has had in the NBA have been all about business, all about winning. Kyrie Irving represents an opportunity to help the Lakers win. LeBron is interested in that relationship. It is not personal. He doesn't do personal. He'll be your buddy when you're on his team. When you're no longer useful, you're gone. He's just like the Godfather. KD and Kyrie's relationship appears to be much deeper, and KD has a lot more skin in that game. But I can't understand why over and over and over KD has put himself in this position with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I mean, unless these guys just stay healthy, stay together, and set the league on fire, because it looked like they were fixing to do that before all hell broke loose with injuries and Harden and the whole thing, and maybe they do get it together. That is Brian Windhorst. Thank you, Windy.
To hoop, Kyrie Irving facing a big decision when it comes to his future in the Nets. Of course, he's looking for a long-term $250 million max deal. Nets, they prefer to him sign a shorter deal. More pertinent is, will he sign that $36.5 million player option next Wednesday? Here's First Take's last take on Kyrie.
Kyrie Irving is scheduled. He's on the books. He has a player option that gives him the right to earn $36.9 million next season. And after missing 123 games in the last 3 years, after missing 60% of his games over the last 3 years, he literally is offended and insulted that the Brooklyn Nets have said, excuse me, we need you to earn your money. We need you to show a commitment, and you have shown an unwillingness and an inability to be trusted. So guess what? We want you to exercise your option to play in and prove yourself, or we ain't guaranteeing you 4 years. And because of that, Kyrie Irving is basically indicating to the public, I am willing to lose out on $30 million. Because if he left and signed, if he opted out and became a free agent and signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, okay, because he called it LeBron already. He called it LeBron. Remember that dude that he left, that he didn't want to be a sidekick or a little brother too? I happen to know he's calling LeBron. The man takes the team after they finish practicing, Eminem. After Steve Nash has conducted a practice, Kyrie Irving was taking dudes and bringing them on the basketball court to conduct his own practices. Do you understand the level of disrespect? And then on top of it all, for all of that to happen, here we are, we talking principle, right? KD, my man, I can never see myself leaving him. You ain't thinking about how you left him hanging. You thinking about your money. And now you are actually sitting here and you are so appalled that nobody would want to get, the Brooklyn Nets wouldn't want to guarantee you $250 million because they're afraid you're not going to show up to work. Let him go. Let him go. Call his bluff. Call his bluff. You the Brooklyn Nets, go ahead. I double dare you.
This is almost like a high-stakes game of chicken between Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets. You know what I mean?
Goodness. This is a lot. At the end of the day, think back just a couple of months ago. It was the new big three in Brooklyn.
Right.
And it was James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And look, it might end up being just Kevin Durant there. All I know, it's not about the money for Kyrie. We know that. But I don't think any of this should surprise us. Look at what happened in Boston. It's never been the same since he won that title with the Cavs in 2016. And now I would guess he's on the move again.
But listen, I will say this. They should be motivated. Whether you're Kyrie, Kevin Durant wants to make it. Now that the Warriors have won a championship, he should be motivated, wanting to win. And then Ben Simmons, considering everything that happened with him.